I'm Dave Mader, and welcome to Live Long and Podcast. We are covering Season 2, Episode 10 of Star Trek Discovery, Woo. The Red Angel. I'm joined by my lovely wife, Jane.
Hi.
And my
Jane
friend,
here.
Max.
Hello, hello. How's everyone?
You've never been on the show before, so welcome. First time.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, jumping in mid-season, helping us out. And
I feel so special.
The Red Angel is over, but we are just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. And covering this episode, I think we could call this Exposition City.
More or less, yeah.
They were like, I think that the fact that they called this episode The Red Angel, this is where we're going to explain to you what the Red Angel is. We're 10 episodes in. Let's get into the meat of it. And this was a lot of, this whole episode was a lot of people sitting around conference rooms talking. A typical Star Trek device, very standard, where people are solving their problems, figuring out what's going on, explaining to the audience. Usually not this much all in one episode.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, maybe not as much going on. Usually it's like one problem. This was, what, 5?
At least. We should count them, but, you know, it's a lot of people sitting around talking, kind of discussing what they're going to do next. What does this mean? What do you know? What do I know? How are we going to work this out?
Yeah.
So they really have this episode lead in from last week. We start with the funeral of Ariam, Lieutenant Commander Ariam, the character we lost last week, the enhanced cybernetic human.
The one we were supposed to apparently all care about with this touching tribute at the start of this episode.
I know, like, I've seen less of a scene for longer established characters. Like when Dax died, there was not a scene like this on Deep Space Nine.
No,
she was around for 6 seasons.
Yeah. I understand why they're doing this, like why they're this is what would happen regardless whether or not we knew the character, but we didn't. And it seemed to be kind of pandering towards the audience, and I'm like,
but we're the audience.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
but I don't know who. She seemed like a cool character. She seemed interesting.
I would love to have gotten to know her better.
I liked what they did with the last episode, but
yeah.
You know, if this is what we're led to believe, the characters feel that they are deeply moved by her loss.
Very pressing,
yeah. Why wouldn't you give us more of her character?
Right.
Like,
so the first things they establish, Pike, I think it's Pike's eulogy first, and we're kind of getting established here. Oh, you're off the hook, Ash Tyler. We know you weren't the one feeding secrets to Section 31. That was Ariam. She was controlled by the Control. Yeah. We see some scenes of her. She's getting all her data deleted before they inter her until they bury her in space. Give her the
fire her off into the sun.
Fire her off in the torpedo tube. Yeah. And then we get a series of other eulogies. I think it starts with Tilly, moves to Stamets. We get Detmer because they share the whole cybernetic implant portion. I'd like to know a little bit more about what Detmer's enhancement is exactly.
See, I almost don't want to know because I feel like that means she's going to die next.
The more we know about it, the worse it. When they let Detmer actually have some like lines and scenes, I actually like this character a lot. They just don't give her much to do most of the time.
She does seem to be like she's got a very interesting outlook. I think, especially like you said with the cybernetic enhancement. There, it's just we really don't seem to get a lot of these background characters.
Is it just her sight, or do you think it's more than that?
Yeah, because we see her. She was on the Shenzhou. That was the ship that Burnham and
Giorgio,
Prime Giorgio and Saru were all on before all this happened. So she's known Detmer for a long time. Saru's known Detmer for a long time.
Yeah,
and back then she didn't have that injury. That was established at the Battle of the Binary Stars with the Klingons. Yeah, I don't know. I hope just a kind of a sidebar that I'd like to see a little more Detmer.
Yep.
Don't have to kill her off. It's okay.
please just let us have this.
Yeah, so they're all sharing the word. It ends with Burnham's the last person to speak, even though I think she knew her maybe the least.
Well, like you said, she was dating back to the Shenzhou, right? And Burnham obviously spent a lot of time on the Shenzhou. I mean, Giorgio was a mentor and mother figure to her, so it stands to reason that a lot of these officers were on the Shenzhou as well. So
you're saying Ariam could have been a Shenzhou officer? Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Nothing's led me to believe that yet.
No,
but,
I'm just trying to give them something.
Something. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, she I guess she's the last one to see her alive. She was there when she immediately died, along with Nan, who doesn't seem to say anything. We hear, a couple things I noticed in this whole scene. It's the whole crew or a bulk of the crew.
I have to imagine it was at least 3/4 of that crew.
Because I think what they said is like 150 people on this ship or so, and that was about almost that in that room.
Yep.
So it seemed like everybody was there. I noticed Culber is not in uniform. He's wearing his black suit.
Yep.
I think we get established after the credits that he's not fully reinstated yet, so he gets to wear his very cool-looking suit.
Yeah.
Which you don't normally see in Star Trek. Not a lot of suits in the 23rd century, but he's going for it. And then we're left with Saru singing his Song of Remembrance in his native Kelpian.
Which, okay, so...
How do we feel about this?
Would the universal translator not just translate it still? I mean...
Well,
maybe not.
Does it know Kelpian? Well, I guess he speaks Kelpian.
Yeah.
He knows lots of 30 languages or something like that. So
that's fair. So
maybe he doesn't speak Kelpian.
Maybe you
on the
can't
ship.
appreciate it unless it's in the original Kelpian.
Yeah, okay.
Regardless, how this did this do it for you?
It was a thing. Like it I don't know, like the whole scene, the whole Arium funeral, it just like we said before, like it just really did not she didn't get fleshed out enough as a character for me to really care. I like that they did it.
It's not unlike the scene in the end of Wrath of Khan where Spock dies. Spoilers to a movie from '82.
Damn it.
And so Spock dies, and Kirk is the only one who says anything, I think, at the funeral, and he gives the eulogy. And then at the end, we got Scotty playing the bagpipes. And I felt like this was, instead of Scotty playing the bagpipes, we're getting Saru singing a Kelpian Song of Remembrance. So, sure. And then they put her in the, she's already in the torpedo tube coffin, which is standard for Starfleet. And they fire her off into space and say, see you later, sailor.
Yep.
From there, that's not even what they, before the credits. We also get a scene with Michael and Ash Tyler in a turbolift. I just remember writing, it's a boring conversation that they don't really say much. I guess she's upset. Arium's dead. He's trying to comfort her.
Well, and she basically is like, yep, I told Pike you didn't do it, and you didn't do it. But I didn't do enough to tell him you didn't do it. Sorry. Okay, credits now?
She didn't come to it. I don't know. I don't feel like she owes Ash Tyler anything.
She doesn't.
She doesn't owe him anything.
No, but they're treated like they tiptoe around this, and I'm just sitting there going, okay, come on now.
And then so they slipped this in there. I thought this was not needed. And then we go to the conference room or the ready room. So we're gonna talk about the Red Angel. This is one of the first talking head scenes that we're going to get in this episode. So we got Pike, Saru. I wrote it down each time we had a scene. Who's in the scene? Who's getting to be part of the discussion?
Yeah.
The key players seem to be Pike, Saru, Cornwall, Spock, and Burnham. But sometimes Culber's there, sometimes he's not. Depends if there's medical needs. So they mentioned that they blew up that space station they were on after, I guess, they got off of it.
Yep.
It's very quick, though, that they mentioned that. Like, they're just kind of like, yeah, we got rid of it.
Yeah, they just kind of slip it in there. Yeah, we destroyed that place.
It's going to happen a lot in this episode.
I was going to say, in this scene, again.
You mean that thing that was protected by the razor mines? That thing? That place?
More defenses than anyone had ever seen before?
Yeah, they just kind of like, we blew that up, so... Never mind that place again. Don't need to go back there.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like they're talking about what they learned as Arium died. Like they mention
Project Daedalus.
Well, no, actually, it's Tilly who comes in and says that because they don't really know what to do. They just know that control was corrupted or something, and
yeah, they if I remember correctly, they're as they're talking, Michael explains that it was control that was controlling, ironically, Arium. And she was trying to download something into Control's database. Like she was trying to download the Sphere's knowledge into the Control's database, and that's when Tilly runs in and drops a bomb, as there ever was one. It was a very aggressive scene to start with.
Yeah, I don't know. Like basically, they're all sitting around. They don't know what they just know the Red Angel is going to destroy, or the whatever the thing is from the future, it's going to destroy
this AI.
It's going to destroy all sentient life in the galaxy. The stakes could never be higher. Tilly comes in, goes, guess what? I downloaded some stuff from Arium. I realized that it was, she had this reference to Project Daedalus, and Burnham's like, that's what she said to me right before she died.
Oh my God, it's a coincidence.
God. Whoa, what else did you find, Tilly? Well, I found out that this Red Angel is related to the Project Daedalus. Oh, that's interesting. And guess what? We did a scan, and we found that I think it's the neurological signature or something like that.
It was if I remember correctly, it was the AI had left a bioscan of the Red Angel in Arium's mind.
Yes.
With the Project Daedalus, and that's how the bioscan was an exact 100% match to Burnham.
Burnham, yes.
So why are they downloading from Arium?
I think it was more like if you're. It's just like any other computer, right? Like if your computer becomes infected, you find where the infection is, you cut it off, and then try and save as much as you can, right?
But an infection from the future with an AI in it, I would feel like my virus software may not.
I agree.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, they had to try and get something. Like they had to learn something, right? So there was a calculated risk, I think, that they had to take in this situation.
Maybe they didn't download it to their main computer. Hopefully, just to
we'll see.
Hard drive.
That offline kind of backup. Yeah.
That could come back to be a thing. We'll see.
Yeah.
But the big revelation, guess what? The Red Angel is you, Michael Burnham. Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And Dave's like, I told you.
Can we just talk about this for a second? Like that, how did you started this episode off with the biggest news of the entire season? Like all we've done, like this whole season has been, who is the Red Angel? And you're gonna walk in the first 5 minutes and tell us, boom, Michael Burnham. Wait, what?
Yeah, I guess they were trying to be shocking. I kind of saw this coming.
I kind of liked how that though. Like I liked the start of that, and then just it was like, oh, this is what we're doing today. We're gonna get our minds blown by Star Trek. Great.
Well, Josh, who's been on the show several times, he was postulating that the Red Angel was somebody who I can't remember who it was. I think he was saying it was Spock or it was somebody. I've always thought it's going to be somebody we know. It's going to be a character we've seen at some point or that will be known in Star Trek. And then we were looking at this person in the Red Angel suit, and we're going, those hips.
Those are female hips.
Those are female hips.
Yeah.
Josh was fighting me on this, but I knew. I was like, you're right.
Actually, that's a good point. Hindsight 2020. Like,
you can't replicate those hips.
Hips don't lie.
Hips don't lie. Okay, so we have our credits, and then we're back. We got to get down to sickbay. How is Burnham the Red Angel? We got to do scans on her. They mentioned that Culber is helping out here, but he's not actually reinstated. Hence, he gets to wear the cool suit. They're trying to make sense of how Michael's the Red Angel. Not much else to really, I think, note here, other than Saru calls down from the bridge. Guess what? Section 31 is here.
They're just all over the place now, aren't they?
I don't know these guys. I would be mad at this Section 31, but they seem to just work with them all the time. Well, an episode ago or 2 episodes ago, they were having a major issue.
Well, now here's my question: like, how high of a level in Starfleet do you have to be to have the information that is available to C-31? Because what's the admiral's name again? Cornwall. She has no idea why they're there or what information they could possibly be bringing. You're an admiral in Starfleet. You're telling me that this section that directly reports to the highest offices of Starfleet, you're telling me you don't know that something could be related?
Well, that's the thing with this version of Section 31, and I know you haven't seen as much of the other shows, right?
I've watched most of Voyager and DS9 and all of Enterprise, but
DS9. Then you.
So if you know the Section 31 episodes from Deep Space Nine, which is I guess the only 2 times we've had Section 31 is Deep Space Nine, and we had it in the J.J. Abrams movies. But Section 31 is not really supposed to report even to Starfleet. That Section 31 is separate, kind of a separate autonomous group.
Okay.
At least by the 24th century, that's what they are.
Yeah.
And they're kind of establishing here that they're kind of more like Starfleet intelligence, or just
that's what I mean, like
a souped up version.
And everyone knows about them anytime you mention it. Oh yeah, Section 31. Like,
everyone knows. They're like the CIA.
Yeah. CIA.
Like they have their own Starfleet badges.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me started on the badges. That's bugging me too.
What?
The badges?
Okay, so they're trying to maintain this timeline with the original series, right? So but every time they do holograms. Yes. Hologram instantly takes me out of it because there was never hologram technology in the original series. And then in an earlier episode of Discovery, Ash taps his chest, taps his badge, and communicates with Leland.
And Pike's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, and I said the same thing. I was like, what is that?
But come on, like we can do comm badges now with Bluetooth technology. It's not like that.
Yes, but so my question is though, why is it not common? Like, why is it only Section 31 that has this?
That technology?
Yeah, well, it seems like because like the Discovery crew is still using communicators.
I think if you're going to retcon all these things they've retconned, like to not retcon communicators is an interesting choice. But
right,
like they could have retconned and say that these are comm badges, like at the time. And, like, there would have been people who wouldn't like it, but
it's just weird. like there are certain things they're retconning, certain things they're not. I'm just
it's very selective. I don't know.
Anyways, tangent. Sorry.
Yeah. Guess what? But yeah, Section 31's here. They run to the transporter room. It's Leland and Georgiou, of course.
Nope.
Cornwall's, guess what? All the charges have been dropped against us, and we're no longer fugitives. I'm like, okay, well, again, they're slipping this in there.
Yep.
Okay.
More information. Quick.
Quick. Guess what? All that stuff we've established doesn't matter.
Just kidding. Doesn't matter.
We can explain away anything with one throwaway line. That's what the show. They quickly move to the ready room. They're going to have this further conference. They're talking about trapping we're going to trap the Red Angel. We got to figure this out. Leland explains this whole thing. Well, guess what? The Klingons, they were trying to invent time travel technology, and then to counteract, they were going to try to wipe us out while we were still evolving or whatever. And
researching,
so we developed Project Daedalus to counter the Klingon time travel.
I don't even think they would have said anything until because I think it's Burnham that mentions like this Project Daedalus that they found in Ariam's mind, and that's where Georgiou and Leyland are like, oh, by the way, we may or may not know something about Project Daedalus, i.e., we made it.
Well, that's why I knew from the get-go that why Starfleet was so into this. I knew they knew more than they were saying, for sure. How they reacted to it.
They're never mad at these people. So they've been chasing this Red Angel for 10 episodes, right?
Yep.
Section 31 has been in like at least
half
of those episodes, if not more.
Yep.
And they've never mentioned this.
No, because it was classified.
But now it's not.
But then once again, why didn't Cornwall know this?
Yeah.
Like this is information that really she should have had, especially if if it was a discontinued project and that like Klingons had such a heavy involvement in. This is something that, especially during the war, anything Klingon related, I have to imagine a Starfleet admiral would have been like, I need to know everything, and like every instance we've had involving the Klingons or any interaction or confrontation with them, like we need to know what's gone on with them.
Well, I guess Section 31 thought they could contain it.
Yeah,
it was like a need-to-know basis. And
once again, I'm a Starfleet admiral. I need to know.
Yeah,
it kind of
whatever.
Bugged me.
So they're kind of setting up. Oh, we actually know more than, and they keep saying you're not telling us everything, and they kind of say, yeah, you're right, we're not telling you everything, but we're still not going to tell you everything. Yeah. This whole scene is like, okay, Georgiou, you're going to work with Stamets, and Saru, you're going to work with Leland, and I don't know. They're just kind of pairing up like all these tasks that they're going to have to do to start this trapping of the Angel plan in motion. We get a scene,
most trap as they call it.
We get a scene with Burnham and Georgiou in the hallway. Michael says, you know more, and many times in this episode we're going to get established that maybe this Mirror Georgiou is not quite as ruthless, evil as maybe we thought. Maybe she's got more of a heart or a soft spot for at least Michael Burnham.
It really is like she especially in this episode, more than any other episode we've seen her in yet, she really does display attributes that really feel prime Georgiou-esque, if you know what I mean. Like she's more motherly to Burnham. She's more affectionate.
Caring.
Yeah. Well, and like I understand that in the Mirror universe, Burnham was her left-hand man or left-hand woman, I guess, and like a daughter figure there as well, but she seems, especially at the end of last season, like she seems very much to have distanced herself from this concept and recognizes that this Burnham is a different Burnham. But now she seems like she's reverting back to treating her like the Burnham she knew, even though at one point in this episode she says, Burnham always trying to do the right thing or sacrifice herself for everyone's safety, and like there's no way that's something that Burnham in the mirror universe would have done.
They're doing this for one of two reasons. First reason to me is that, okay, they're trying to actually establish that, Georgiou is maybe redeemable, got more of a soft spot. Yeah. I know that they're planning maybe to do this spin-off show with just Georgiou.
Is that confirmed? I thought that was
confirmed.
I
think it is. Well, I guess.
I'd absolutely watch that. I mean, I love the Georgiou character.
So they want her to be a little bit more likable.
They're trying to soften her and make her less...
I don't want her to be soft. Like, I liked her before. I liked her as the...
Sassy.
Screw off. I'm going to screw you and get away laughing.
Yeah. The second thing is that this is all a ruse. She's playing Michael. She's manipulating her for some other long-term goal.
Like, I can see that to an extent. It's just there's so many scenes where she is the emperor of the Terran Empire in the Mirror Universe, and you don't get to be the emperor of the Terran Empire in the Mirror Universe without being an absolute cutthroat, nasty-ass mother...
Yeah. Psycho.
Yeah. She could have just trained herself to respond in certain ways to gain the trust of the people she's trying to manipulate. So I guess that is fair. Some of these interactions they seem so instinctual for her, right?
Right, and even Burnham's going as far to call her Philippa, and it's I don't know,
I think Burnham's breaking down too a bit. Like there's the relationship seems to be getting closer and closer to where it was with Prime Georgiou and Prime Burnham. So I don't know, it's an I'm actually very interested in this whole storyline with Burnham and Georgiou. It's very captivating.
Well, it's interesting. We saw so little of the original Georgiou, the Prime Georgiou.
Yeah.
And now we've had way more exposure to Mirror Georgiou at this point. I kind of forget who Prime Georgiou was. And,
the most important scene we get with Prime Georgiou is the where they're walking in the sand in that very first scene, right? Like they're walking and they recreate the the Starfleet symbol in the sand, which. Okay, hold on. That I have problems with as well.
They could have made a big smiley face or something a little simpler, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, so we get but Georgiou does not give her any details in this scene when she's talking to Burnham.
Yeah,
and then we get Georgiou again. Now she's working with Stamets. They're explaining the Red Angel technology, how we're going to trap her. This is how it's going to work. He explains, I guess, we're going to need a lot of power to make this work. I think he says like 10 warp cores or something worth of energy. She's like, oh, great. We can go to this base. ESOF 4 is the name of the planet that they'll end up on.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of deuterium. Deuterium is kind of like the gasoline of Star Trek. They use it to make matter. Well, deuterium is already matter, so they use it to make antimatter, and then they use that explosion to create all their energy. So that's their plan. That's how we'll get enough energy to make your Ghostbusters trap work, right?
Never thought of it like that.
And so I don't know why. Culber just kind of walks in. Is Admiral Cornwall in here?
Why would she be?
Why would she be here?
Yeah, that's a very he just. It almost seems like it's an excuse. Like he wants to check in on Stamets, but doesn't know how to go about it. Right? Like they're in a very awkward point, right? Like because Colbert, he's not quite sure how he's feeling because this is all new to him. Like he keeps telling us. But at the same time, he knows those feelings existed, so he's just trying to work around it. So I very much think this was like an excuse thing. It's just Georgiou made it very awkward.
Well, and then there's this whole Georgiou's like, guess what? In my universe,
you're both pansexual.
I loved Tilly's reaction at the end where she said, "What the heck was that?
What just happened here?" Yeah. Stamets' reaction was just as good. Like, I have no idea.
This was weird, wasn't it? So sometimes Tilly, I do find her endearing.
I love Tilly. I know she's kind of like interesting character, but I like what she brings to the Discovery world. Like she kind of loosens everyone up, like she lowers the tone and kind of relaxes it, and I think
everyone else is so serious.
Yeah. I think it's really good for especially this series, like coming from the first season there where it was very Game of Thronesy, and she does a really good job of just lowering everyone's stress levels and a more Star Trek feel, like where you get the seriousness, but you also get a little humor.
Human
Human interaction.
Humanizing.
You want to talk about the next scene?
Yes.
It's our second of 4 hallway scenes that we get.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So here this is almost a bottle episode except for the final scene, really. Because you think about everything's on the Discovery sets.
More or less, yeah. With the exception of the ending.
Yeah, this is Non and Burnham. And I guess, Non's kind of like, I'm sorry I killed Ariam, and I can tell you're a little sore about it because...
Here's another character that I'd really like to know more about. Mm-hmm. Like, there's the interaction with Non and Ariam in the last episode where Ariam's like, oh, so, yeah, your race needs your breathing apparatus to breathe in our oxygen atmosphere, right? And I remember watching it going, what you gonna do about that? And then...
kind of obvious.
Foreshadow.
Yeah, dun dun dun. Like, they might as well... put that in the background, but yeah, it was a little odd. And then the fact that she was not more than willing, but she had no problem hitting the...
Oh, I think that's what a normal person would do. I think Burnham was the one that was like delaying it.
Too emotionally attached.
Like,
even
I think
it's the order.
No.
Yes, she was just following the orders as she was supposed to do.
No, okay, that's
so she did her job. She says, like, I'm security chief. I'm supposed to protect as many people as possible. That's my job.
Well, she's starting to remind me of the security chief from season 1 too, eh? Like, what was her name?
Landry,
yeah.
They killed her early, and then Ash Tyler was the security chief. And that's what we said on this podcast, that this role of security chief of Discovery is kind of like the professor of the dark arts, or defense against the dark arts at Hogwarts. Where, it's just a rotating affair. No one can hold this job for very long.
Very good analogy. Yeah, I like it.
I don't know if we needed this scene, but I guess they threw it in because it was something they felt a loose end they needed to tie up.
I'm with you. It really was unnecessary. Like, we got that shot at the end of the two of them sitting there like, oh man, that was intense. We didn't need much more.
We all got it. We all understood why she did it. Like, Ariam's like, I'm going to come through here and kill you.
And I'm pretty sure there's even a moment in the funeral at the beginning there where Non looks at Burnham, and Burnham kind of looks back, and there's like a subtle acknowledgement almost. Like, I think Burnham's a little colder about it than Non is, but there is something there. Like, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
And then
a look.
Yeah.
Okay, then we got Leland and Saru. They're brainstorming. How do we stop the wormhole once the Red Angel comes through? She's going to come through the wormhole, and we're going to close it.
I have loved Saru since his transformation. I'm not going to lie.
He's like this new Saru.
I like this, like, strutting his stuff. Like, I got this, and I'm not going to be afraid no more. And, like, I'm gonna call you out on your bull no matter what. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, where he's
confidence.
Leland's like, "What? Are you here to watch me?" Like, he says it so indignantly. You're kind of a jerk, and you kind of like have tried to go against us so many times, Leland.
Sure. Yeah, why should I trust you? Like, you've given us no reason to trust you. And even Leland's like, you're right, I haven't. I still don't appreciate you not trusting me. Like, you can't have it both ways, bud.
Yeah, what's the deal with not trusting me? Burnham interrupts. She goes, "You're not telling me everything I need to know. What's going on?"
Saru, get out.
Saru, get out. He's like, "Peace, see you later."
I did enjoy this scene very, very much so.
And he immediately just spills the beans. He's like, "Guess
everything.
what? Your parents died because of me."
And this is so for those keeping track at home. Like, this is scene number 3, I think, where we get a major drop of something, and we're really only given a couple minutes to digest it. Like, this is something that was mentioned in, 3 episodes ago?
Yeah, about our parents.
Yeah, Giorgio kind of, like, loosely alludes to it, and then mentions it, and then that they're on the Section 31 ship. But once again, like, this is, like, it's a very confined scene. They do it, they get it done, and there's going to be, like, something after, but they really don't flesh it out. Like, we needed, as an audience, an episode.
A whole episode.
I think this scene could have benefited from, like, a flashback or something that would have, like who was Leland 20 years ago? And why would what is he Section 31 at this point?
We got more of a flashback when we in the what was it, the last episode that we had
with her hiding behind the wall or like the closet. That one.
Yeah, just not a lot, like Sonequa Martin Green, like great performance in this scene.
Boom, boom.
Well, yeah, I just like
my dad,
just like
my mom
absorbing like this knowledge and her playing that. I thought it was impressive. She's a really good actress. Like,
she's fantastic. It was just, in my opinion, like I appreciated it. I just wish we had gotten a full episode out of it.
Yeah. So what are the reveals here? He knew her parents. Guess what? Project Daedalus, that was them. They were helping us build the time travel technology.
They were in Section
Red
31.
Angels.
They were in Section 31.
Oh yeah, that was another.
They were in Section 31. That's huge.
So much, and it's just you're like my head at this point watching it last. I was spitting. I was like, oh my god, what next?
I was just like, okay. It seems like everything seems to really revolve around Michael Burnham. She started the Klingon War. She's from Spock's family. Her parents were directly involved in Section 31. She is the Red Angel. Maybe not. We'll see. It's just like she's a very important person in this whole world.
Which then begs the question, going back to the whole continuity and retconning. How do we not know about her in the original series?
I think there at least be a starship named after her or something down the road, but whatever.
Well, even the fact that she is Starfleet's first mutineer.
Yeah, she's got a lot of and a lot of that's brushed over.
Yeah.
She's been reinstated now. People don't like to bring up the fact that she was.
Well, technically, she's been reinstated twice now because they were all considered mutineers for an episode.
Oh, yeah. But that's you get a slap on the wrist in Starfleet now for this kind of thing. It's not so bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
Just every episode Star Trek Insurrection. So I guess she punches Buddy in the face.
Mutable offense or court-martial offense.
Yeah, it's like he's surprised by this.
You just told this woman who is also just been told that she's the Red Angel and saving the galaxy from utter annihilation. That hey, guess what? I basically killed your parents.
Right.
What did you think was going to happen? She was going to be like, you know what? It wasn't your fault.
We learned that the secret ingredient to the time machine is the time crystal.
Time crystal.
Oh, how lazy writing was that?
Worst.
I'm not familiar with time crystal.
I've been more or less like the writing for this show. Like I haven't been really. Like I've enjoyed it for the most part. It hasn't felt super lazy to me. That was lazy.
It's like, it reminds me of Legend. Like those from my childhood. The time crystal. Like
it sounds like a wizard.
Magical.
Yeah, a wizard shit. Like if you want to travel in time, you need the time crystal.
Yeah, that's how the Klingons found them. They traced the time crystal.
Like just call it a
There's the other thing.
Crystal, like that controls time. Like.
Like a deuterium crystal that has been like manipulated by tachyon radiation or something like that. Like, give us an actual Trekkie translation. Don't
technobabble for it.
Yeah, don't sit there going, "It was a time crystal."
Time crystals. It's all you need for time travel. Who knew? So she punches him in the face, whatever, and then she rushes off to confront Tyler. Did you know that Leland got my parents killed and? You're working for Section 31. You're
Once again, a very unnecessary scene.
Yeah, she's pissed at him. She's like, every day you work for Section 31, you're just proving you're a jerk. And he's like, well, they kind of do some good things. It's kind of a mixed bag. I kind of believe in the mission. And that's kind of the end of the conversation. Like, I don't really care at this point, like whether or not these two get back together, but or whether even they like each other, really. But
there's a palpable connection there. Like you can feel it every time they're together. There's some kind of emotional connection there.
They were in love.
They were exactly.
Yeah, so,
but now, like it's a weird connection at this point. Like it could easily go one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for it to you're waiting in this, especially in this episode. It really comes to it because you go from her screaming at him to a scene in a couple minutes, right? Like it's a very up and down relationship, and
it's actually
we've all been through those.
In about 5 scenes, they will be making out, but we'll get there. Okay, next scene is Culber and Cornwall in her quarters. I guess
Oh yes, Admiral Cornwall is a admiral because she was a therapist.
Well, that's the thing is that. There's all these jobs in Starfleet, but any of them can become a command officer.
But what? So here, this scene, like as soon as he mentions that she's a therapist, I'm like, I straight up, I was watching this episode and I went, what?
This is not the first time they mentioned this.
Really?
They set this up last year.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
When, she was boinking Mirror Lorca.
Yep.
That's right.
Right, and he makes mention that in that scene that's what her background is like a psychiatrist or something.
But wouldn't you have to have some sort of scientific or I don't know to become a captain?
Not even scientific. So I understand that
psychiatry is a science.
Oh.
I understand that from especially for Starfleet, for an admiral or anyone in a command position, you need to have a background in science. You need to have a background in diplomacy, and you need to have a background in
engineering,
military or strategic thinking, right?
Okay.
Because it's not classified as a military organization, but there is a military aspect. You need to be able to think strategically and be able to engage in combat. I almost want a new series now on Cornwall because she's a therapist that became an admiral in Starfleet. And then not only that, she has a couple, even the last episode, she's saying, when they get to the station that Control is on and it's covered in mines, and Pike's like, what is this? And she's like, it was a war. We had to adapt. Now that I know she was a therapist, I want to know what the hell happened in her life that made her so aggressive and right. I
understand what you're saying, but the thing is, too, this is not unprecedented in Starfleet that anybody can be in any job. An engineer can take the command training program and become a captain.
I get that. She's a very aggressive individual, and this is not even that. This has been a couple scenes now where she has shown tendencies towards acting instead of thinking. Mm-hmm. And as a therapist, a therapist by trade,
with what?
No, your whole as a therapist by trade, your whole instincts are to think and plan out and look at every angle, right? But she has shown this rationale that is very aggressive and based on instincts, and that just as soon as they mention that she's a therapist, it instantly set me off. That doesn't make sense that you're an admiral in Starfleet and you are who you are, but you're a therapist.
Well, I thought therapists would listen to you talk. I thought he came in there and started talking, and then she was just giving her opinion to him. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not
really?
very...
I thought she came across...
don't give you the answers.
I thought she came across very Deanna Troi in this scene. Oh. She's like, what do you think? What's your...
Oh, really? I felt like she was giving him answers. I think you watched that.
I think she was having a genuine conversation with him, but I think it was a bit of both. I think she was kind of being a little diplomatic with it, but at the same time it did kind of feel like she was pushing him into a certain direction, right? And as a therapist, you kind of want them to understand where you're coming from and to give you options.
But let you come to that conclusion yourself.
Exactly, and it didn't seem like she was doing that. You're right. Yeah.
Actually, I didn't mind this scene too much. I thought it was strange though that she kind of really got what Culber was going through right away. I guess that speaks to her professional background, I suppose.
Could she be Mirror Cornwall?
Maybe. I didn't go there. But basically, this whole thing with Culber that he's not really sure who he is this even really him? Is he some kind of a clone or a copy? Or, who is this person? He doesn't seem to know. No one really seems to know. And then it's this whole thing about, he's torn up about Stamets, that he's not with Stamets. He's not, but he cares that Stamets is hurt.
Okay, so I just thought of this. So with Culver, with the whole mycelial network, we've established that the mycelial network can connect not only a universe through this network, but multiple universes. That's how they were able to travel to the mirror universe through the mycelial network. What if? What is the organism that they encounter there?
Tardigrade?
Yeah, no. What's the one that Tilly is seeing? The
May.
Oh, May.
May, yeah. May says that they can create matter, right? But what if they're not really creating matter, but they're redistributing? So what if this is the mind of the Culver that we know from Prime, with the body of the Culver that might have died in Mirror?
Okay.
It's not impossible, I suppose.
So so basically, what I'm thinking is because the mirror universe, they are the same, but they're different, right? They have Giorgio. She enjoys dining on Kelpians.
Right. So mirror, they're supposed to be the opposite of us.
Yeah. This is just a spitball theory, but it could it not be that he might have DNA or just in general have
mirror universe DNA, which makes him feel like he's not in his own skin.
Yeah, it's not him, right?
I thought it was more like a transporter, like he's... That's again with a transporter. You're never in your own DNA or your own body anyway.
And by this point in the 23rd century, like they've been through transporters several times. Like he's gone on and off them. So if it was a transporter, like you would think. I mean, now
it's got to be more than that.
It'd be a very crazy transport. So maybe like this, we're talking like maybe Enterprise. It's like Star Trek Enterprise level of transporter where they're like, oh, we've never done this before. This should be fun.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the theory I want to go with. I think he's just more of a copy, but he's not really. I think he's more of a clone. That's the way I look at him right now.
I think that is. I don't know. I'm just Discovery has gotten me into this like Game of Thrones like it could be, but it couldn't be kind of thing. Like everything they give me, I'm like, yeah, but what if it isn't?
Knowing this writing, I wouldn't be surprised if you just want to throw away line. They'll go, it was never actually him, or it was, whatever.
Move on.
Exactly.
Move on. Like that's what they'll do anyway. But this whole scene where she goes, "Love is a choice, and the only way to make a new road is to walk it." Is the advice she gives to Culber leaving the scene.
Why are they putting so much effort into this relationship
with Culber and Stamets?
I mean, I did really like the relationship as it was in the first season. Like I thought that was one of the most grounded and believable relationships in the first season. So I understand them trying to bring that back or trying to create some kind of tension or intrigue there. But yeah, I think they're leaning into the skid a little too heavily there.
These are the first gay characters, like established gay characters.
That's true too.
In Star Trek TV, at least in the reboot, Sulu was gay, even though he's not gay in the Prime universe. But whatever, but it doesn't matter.
I guess I'm just more used to the other Star Trek series where you might focus on them for like one episode, like maybe keep the story arc going, but just like focus on for one episode, and the next episode be Michael and Burnham, Burnham's episode with. I don't know. It just seems like it's peppered along the whole.
I guess it's a writing choice. Do you fit all of like this stuff with like Stamets and Culber, for instance, into one or two episodes?
Yeah,
or
resolve it.
Or do you spread it over a bunch of episodes?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say I'd almost like a two episode story arc where it's kind of split with that and something else. I think that would do a good job of kind of fleshing it out. I think. Like you're right, it does seem very much so like a peppered kind of a little bit here, a little bit there. But I really think give them 2 episodes, give them like half the episode for both episodes to kind of really flesh out what's going on here, and then done. Move on.
Yeah, it's dragging on, but we'll see. Like maybe we'll wrap up soon. We'll see. We cut over to Burnham and Spock. Burnham's in the dojo. She's beating up a foam figure.
I'm going to go ahead and right off the bat here say this is my favorite scene in this episode.
It's not bad. It's nice that these two are not fighting for a scene. So.
I think there was a genuine emotional connection here that we really had. Like at the start of the season, like when they find out that Spock's gone and Burnham's all concerned and freaking out, and then we find out like what Burnham did, and like when all that happened, I was like, why were you so concerned? Like you knew Spock was not going to be happy to see you, and yet you're sitting there going, oh, I'm a good big sister. I'm so concerned about him. I need to make sure he's okay. So this scene here was the first time I felt a genuine family interaction between the two, and that felt like it should, like they were genuinely like brother and sister. There was that interaction that just felt natural to me.
Yeah, I liked this scene too. I thought they both played it well. I thought it made sense that she's just found out this huge news, and he kind of comes over to I don't like the scene where he's like, I wish I was there when you struck him. It's not Spock to me. Spock wouldn't say something like that to me, but whatever. It's not in keeping with the character. But anyway, they're starting to get along. They're not fighting. They have this whole scene. He's like, I actually came to talk to you about this whole other plan I just cooked up. Cut over. Shuttle bay. We got another scene of people talking.
Yes.
Figuring out, strategizing. So this one is Pike, Spock, Burnham, Georgiou. They figured out they can trap the Red Angel for sure at a specific time and place. Basically, they can bring the Red Angel to them, and the plan is they got to kill...
By using the grandfather paradox.
Yes.
If Burnham dies here, Burnham does not become Red Angel there.
Yeah, so Red Angel will definitely have to intervene to save her.
Yeah.
Because the Red Angel has to live.
Which, I mean, it's a simple plan, but it is through Star Trek jargon, like that is the way you would think about going in a time travel related situation.
At this point, I remember thinking, I just want like Captain Picard to show up and go, let's think about this, and have to go to his ready room and then like say like let's hold the presses. I don't know. I just felt like
this is much more Kirk. This is much more let's do it. Let's get the job done.
I guess it's more Kirk. Yes.
Yeah,
I was like, let's talk about this.
They move quickly. they make decisions quickly. They move quickly. So they're kind of like, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Sure.
So let's think about this more. Next conference room scene pops up. Now we're in another room. I think we're back in the ready room. But this is like the heist scene. They're like, this is how we're going to cook it all up, guys. So it's Spock, Stamets, Georgiou, Culber, Burnham, and Pike. They say, oh, okay, we're going to get down the planet, and we got the life support, so we're going to turn the life support off. That's going to start suffocating Michael Burnham, so she'll start to die, so the Red Angel will definitely show up to save her. That's how we're going to set up the trap. And they're kind of montaging back and forth as they're kind of setting up their trap, their mouse trap.
Now, my question, like for the group that is there, like I understand that Georgiou is there because she has an emotional connection to Burnham, but if a Section 31 member was going to be there, should it not have been Leland? Because he's the captain.
Should it not be? Should it not be Ash Tyler? Because he's that's his whole job is to be the liaison between them. And
yeah,
that's his whole purpose on the ship. That's the only reason he's there. And
yeah, he's also there. I know they cleared him of sending information back to Leland and Section 31. I mean, I still think he's observing and potentially gathering information on Discovery for Section 31. So I think there's more to his job than just liaison. I think he is
he's a spy.
Yeah, quote unquote spy for Section 30 as far as Section 31 is concerned. Like it just seemed like I understand why George was there. I really do. Like she's
Leland will, I think in another scene we'll find out why.
Why is Georgiou there? No,
but we kind of find
she's
out
not
why.
there for emotional support.
No, but she has the emotional connection with Burnham. I think considering the plan is
so does Spock.
But and he's there.
Yeah.
So I think the plan is we're gonna kill Burnham to summon the Red Angel. Like we're gonna try and kill her, and if she dies, I mean the Red Angel won't exist. Like she's going to have to come and.
Well, yeah, Spock says a line here. We need to do this to save the galaxy. Even if Michael Burnham dies, whatever. We have to save the galaxy.
I mean that's just Vulcan logic there. The benefits of the many outweigh the
needs of few or
the
one.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I understand Spock being there. I understand everyone being there. It was just Georgiou that just...
Georgiou doesn't belong in this scene or even on this mission, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. Once again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where they're really pushing this relationship she's got with Michael. That at the end of the first season, she completely denounced. And yet, in this season, they've really built... Like, they're building it back up to where it was with Prime Georgiou. So, and like you said earlier, this is either a master manipulation, or this is Mirror Georgiou becoming more Prime-like,
getting softer.
Yeah. And now that could be it too, because we saw even from Mirror Lorca, like when they go back to the Mirror Universe, Mirror Georgiou straight up accuses him of getting soft. Mm-hmm. Like she does get she accuses him of not being the same Lorca that she knew.
So she's getting infected by our universe. Or...
Not even. I think it's just
just happens.
You're there, right? Like you become that person when you're there, right? And we see it too. Like Lorca in Mirror Lorca, he must have had eaten Kelpian at some point. And yet. He's got all these different races on the bridge, and he's totally fine with it. Yeah. I mean, he might not be totally fine, but he's by the end. Actually, I honestly think by the end of season one there, like I think he is fine with these other races because he's been around.
He's starting to come around. Yeah, maybe a little. It's hard to say.
So this might be a similar situation, right? Where Georgiou is, for lack of a better word, she's becoming indoctrinated into the Prime universe.
But she's working for the worst part of the Prime universe. But
well, I mean, baby steps. Come on.
Yeah,
yeah, I guess so.
Can't go cold turkey Prime right away.
Her to me, her placement in here is more about including this actress than it is about
making her relevant to the
making her relevant.
Yeah.
To me, like it could have easily have been Ash Tyler in these scenes and Ash Tyler.
It could have been Leyland. Like it could have been any one of the two of them, or both. Like honestly, Leyland and and Tyler probably should have been in that ready room instead of Giorgio. Because Ash is the liaison.
It's his whole job.
And Leland is the captain of Section 30, and essentially the leader at this point because Control killed the admiral who was in charge of Section 31.
Yeah, so and we don't know how big Section 131 really is.
No,
but.
so by that chain of command in that situation, I would assume that Leyland should be in the room with Ash Tyler as his liaison to Starfleet and Discovery with him. Giorgio, not so much.
I think he was up to no good somewhere else, so we'll see.
That could be.
He's up to no good. We get this Burnham and Tyler scene afterwards. I guess she feels like there's a good chance she could die. So last thing you do before is you go and pour your heart out to.
No, and this was another very emotionally and aggressive scene that we really didn't get enough time as an audience to digest. This is another scene where I would have much rather I understand time constraints because the season's wrapping up, but this is another storyline that would have been better fleshed out with at least half an episode.
Yeah.
Like, giving us the 5-10 minutes they did with this.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Like, oh, I'm going to die. Oh, you're not going to die. Don't say that. But it might happen. And then make out and done.
Yeah, all better.
All right. Cool. Thank you for that.
Yes. Okay, so then we're starting to hatch the plan. So the next scene is they go to the bridge. It starts off with Lieutenant Nielsen showing up to fill in for Ariam. This felt weird. That, again, we already had this big funeral for Ariam, and now we're going to be all weird about who's taking her spot on the bridge.
We were talking about this before. Like, in any other Star Trek series, like if an officer on the bridge dies in the line of duty, there is a replacement waiting in the wing, ready to go, just in case. Like that, there is someone there.
There's always somebody there to fill in. Like, you have shift changes.
Exactly. So why is this so awkward that Lieutenant Nielsen is just strolling in? And why wasn't she there to start off with? Like, did she just
fill in? Well, like, Ariam was the Spore Drive ops officer. That was her. But so when the Spore Drive's not in use, she must do other things.
Yeah.
Well, I think she was in charge of. I was gonna say communication, but that's the.
She was Spore Drive.
But Tilly goes to her to crack the code for I don't know.
I think she's still a science officer.
I think she's like she might be one of the science officers on the bridge. But the fact remains, like, why was it so? Like, why was everyone like as soon as she walked in the gate or in the off the turbo lift there, everyone's like.
Got really awkward.
Quiet, awkward. Everyone's staring.
Like they've never, they know this person, don't they?
She was probably at the funeral.
They just want to pull at our heartstrings. That's what they're trying to do.
Too much. We barely knew Ariam.
I know.
Like the funeral at the beginning was enough. We didn't need anything more. And then they're like, no, but you did.
You did.
Fine, all right. You know better than me.
And then we're on the planet. So there's a series of moments here. We have the first one is between Stamets and Culber, where he's like, Culber says to Stamets, "I'm sorry, I was such a jerk," and Stamets is like, "Thanks, but I don't want to talk about this right now."
And then, okay, I really need to stress this because I stressed this earlier too. Giorgio has this, like, you can see when the two of them are talking, you can see in the background, just over Culver's shoulder, you can see Giorgio blurred out, kind of staring over her over shoulder, or watching the two of them talk.
Yeah, she's kind of out of focus.
And then as soon as Culver finishes, like they finish their conversation, Culver walks away. It instantly kind of zooms into Giorgio and focuses her, and she's watching this so intently, and I want to know why.
She wants the three-way with them.
Is that it?
Is it just sex?
Is she just... I mean, you know what? This is Mirror Universe, but I feel like there's more.
There's got to be more.
And then, we get this moment with, I guess the next one is Michael and Giorgio. They have sort of a moment.
Which, once again, really confuses the whole situation. Like, is she a master manipulator? Is she just caring? Is she being indoctrinated into the Prime Universe? I don't know anymore.
Yeah, this was.
This is something.
At this point, I'm like, I don't care.
This is something that's going like they're definitely doing something with this in the next couple episodes, but I'm like, what's going on?
And then the final one, which I think is the most impactful of these three, is the Spock and Burnham, which I think is probably working better than most of the relationships.
Even before that, there's a quick communication between Burnham and Ash on the.
Oh yeah, I know Ash. Sure.
Yeah, I'm like, was that just to round out the scene beforehand with them making out, or was that something more? Like, stop teasing me.
Yeah, I skipped over because to me it didn't matter. But it was...
once again, this is something that they should give more time to. But they were like, we're just gonna float that out there, then they'll be fine. No,
yeah, that's not working so well for me.
No.
Anyway, so Spock and her have this whole conversation. He's like, I don't want you to die because I could go back to jail or something, and then. Yeah. It would be ideal if you survived, is what he says.
Yeah, way with words, Spock.
Yeah.
So they start this plan. They open up the doors. They start suffocating her. As soon as this suffocation effect starts to kick in, this is. I thought she was just gonna
pretty extreme.
Gasp, and then she was gonna pass out, or this got really extreme. Like, this is a planet that has.
They had to use her acting abilities from The Walking Dead at some point. So
this was I was like, you couldn't give her a painkiller or something.
I think it was if you give her painkillers or anything to kind of numb the whole ordeal, there's a chance that she might not think it's as serious in the future. Like they might have thought that she might have repressed it going into the future, and then that would have disrupted the whole grandfather paradox, right?
Right.
So I think now this is me retconning it in, right? Like they didn't really explain this at all. You're right, but could it have been something where they're like, make it as shocking and insane as possible that she'll never forget it, and then she'll have to come back to save herself?
Maybe, but they don't establish that as why this is happening. Any of that is why this is happening. And I'm just watching. I'm going like, okay, like I guess. She must suffer. That's like this has to be some kind of a real sacrifice, more than just putting your life on the line. This has to be a suffering. Yeah. They could have done the exact same thing and just given her an injection
sedative or half sedative, a little bit of morphine.
Yeah, the whole suffocation thing to me wasn't necessary. Like, basically, she just has to die to the point that you're going to attract the Red Angel, right? That's the whole point of this.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can do that with drugs. Like I don't know why they had to make it so painful.
Yeah. So we're watching this go, this is a lot, and then they're like, we got to pull the plug on this. This is bad. She's going to die.
Spock goes, I don't think so.
Spock pulls a phaser on people again.
We just got you out of jail for this exact problem. Don't mess it up.
The old Spock from the original series.
Leonard Nimoy Spock.
Nimoy Spock. If he had done something like this,
he would also not have had a beard.
He wouldn't have had a beard. But let's say, there was a couple times where Spock did go rogue in the original series. But when he did, he was always like, "You must arrest me. You must put me in jail."
Yeah, it was always when his emotions were affecting his judgment, right?
Well, when it was with Pike, where he stole the ship.
There was a couple times in the original series where Spock would go rogue, but he never. Yeah. If he did it, he would always immediately you have to arrest me, you have to throw me in jail, you have to court-martial me because what I did was unacceptable. This Spock doesn't seem to have any of that.
No.
Maybe this is all teaching him not to do this in the future.
Maybe this is how
I'm with you. I think it's a little ridiculous, and it's not the Spock that we know and love. But it was never going he's not Leonard Nimoy, and this is not the original series. We've already established that they're retconning things like left, right, and center with hologram technology and comm badges.
What the hell is that? Well, I'm going, what the hell is this with Spock? Even if he's going to do it. It wasn't so much that it was so out of character, but they better pay this off.
I want to see a reasoning for this and a logical explanation for why he changes, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Well, maybe Burnham dies as a result of him not following orders one time, and I don't know.
They need something.
Or is erased from existence because of it.
I almost think Burnham can't die at this point because then really, why was she not mentioned in the original series? She is such an integral character. If she were to die a heroic death, or Spock were to have a reason, a part of her death, there is no reason that this character should not have been mentioned in the original series, right? They have to be very careful with how they play her into and end it into the original series. It's very muddy. It's very difficult, and I'm interested to see how they put it all together, but that's going to be a problem for them.
I hope they have a plan.
I mean, it is who was the showrunner who started it again?
Fuller.
Yeah, like he is. Now, see, here's the problem. Great at starting things, not so good at finishing. Considering his two biggest projects before this were he did Firefly, correct?
Brian Fuller.
Yeah.
Firefly? Was that?
Yeah.
Was it, he did that? Okay.
Yeah, and he got through one season. It was a fantastic season.
I liked
but,
it. Yeah.
we didn't get much more than that. And then he started as the showrunner for Hannibal. Fantastic show.
I watched the first season of that.
Didn't finish. Like he's got a way of establishing these amazing stories, but he doesn't seem to have a lot of finish in him, and that scares me going forward with this. But I'm hopeful. I mean, now that being said, we're also getting a D.B. Benoff and David Wise, Game of Thrones showrunners, Star Trek series. So that'll be.
Are they? They're getting one.
Yeah. Last I heard, the two of them. That's their next big project that they're working on. Oh. Anyway, so we should probably finish.
We're almost at the end of the episode. Yeah. Well, okay. So Spock, he goes rogue. He pulls the phaser on the group. He's like, "We have to kill her. That's the whole plan, you dummies." And Red Angel's still not showing. Finally, I think Burnham's heart stops, and then they're like, "Well."
They try and transport. Pike calls to transport her, and that's where Tilly. Or who is? It's not Tilly. It's isn't it?
The ops officer.
She's like, we can't. There's interference, and they're looking back at Tilly, and Tilly's like, oh, Jesus, yeah. There's tachyon radiation.
Oh, tachyon. That thing I was supposed to be watching for.
Once again, Tilly, like this scene was so intense and aggressive and just in your face, and I'm kind of happy that they had that because it really kind of brought the level-headedness to the whole series back, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, so I was like, as soon as they did that, I was like, oh, she's not dying now.
I knew she wasn't going to die. She's the main character.
Yes.
And so, anyway, the Red Angel does show up, heals her, like with a beam.
With a beam.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get that at some point.
Heals, resuscitates her with the beam. So, in this whole thing, there's a very confusing scene with Leland where he goes into kind of a side room on his ship.
Yeah, so I was when we were watching it before, and I'm thinking back. So during that whole scene, when the Red Angel comes through, the wormhole opens, and Ash Tyler is, I guess he's trying to engage the, is it the tractor beam they're using, I believe?
Something like that.
Some kind of beam that you're using to cancel out the wormhole and shut it down. But as they're doing it, Ash says, we don't have enough power. So I think, especially since the size of the ship, that they're on, like the Section 31 ship is quite small, but it probably has a full-size warp drive, right?
Yeah.
So my thought process in this scene was that for something like this, I'm sure, like Leland as the captain probably has ultimate control on overriding the warp system or the warp drive to access more power out of it, right? So that might be that where I think he's gone into like that back room to try and because once again, Section 31, very paranoid people apparently. They probably had like on a normal starship, the captain can say, "Computer, override safety protocols for the warp drive," and the computer will override it, and the engineers will get to it, right? Whereas this Section 31 ship, it might have a system in place where it has to be a physical scan or some like on top of the voice recognition, there's some kind of biometric aspect to it that would allow the computer to override the systems.
What's he trying to override?
The warp control system, so that they can get more power out of it.
See, I missed that then. Was that said?
Yeah, because there's definitely a scene where Ash Tyler is saying we don't have enough power.
To who?
To Leland. Because the two of them are on the bridge, like they're doing it together, right? And then he's like, we don't have enough power. So that's when Leland hauls ass
to the other,
and gets to the other room there, and then.
So I thought he was doing something completely on the side.
No, they do. It is. You're right. It is very rushed and very quick, but there is a quick scene where there is that conversation of we don't have enough power, and then Leland, he doesn't even acknowledge it. He just gone.
Okay.
Yeah, he goes into this room. He's like, I need to override things, and then he's looking into this tube.
Here's my question: like, if this is the system where you have to override your computer and unlock more of your warp drive potential, really an iris scan?
I don't think that's what it was, though.
But that's what he's looking into these retinal scanners. Like
I thought it was more like binoculars of sorts.
Yeah.
Whatever it was
it was weird,
confusing and weird.
Yeah,
and it made no sense. And
I agree.
He keeps saying security buffer override. He gets shot in the eye with a needle, and then he falls on the ground.
Well, because then it was mocking it. It was the AI. Well, I took it as the AI started mocking him.
100% was the AI infected into the system.
And then was like repeating
Mocking
his
him?
word. It repeated his words mockingly, and then killed him.
Yeah.
Is he dead?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Well, that's. Or
See, I don't know. It doesn't look like the needles that came out far enough to jab into his brain. But at the same time, like, he drops quickly and twitches for a second and then is like dead.
I thought it was all in his brain, dead, and it kind of like mocked him before it killed him. That's how I took it.
You're right. Like, it might have, like, what might have happened is, like, these needles went out and then back in quickly. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very quick and confusing scene.
It happens so quickly. I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened. I don't. And you don't care really because they quickly go back to like, who's the Red Angel?
Well, the next scene, like, it's Ash, and you hear Leyland's voice on the intercom saying, "All right, you have the power you need." And then Ash, hits a button, and all of a sudden the wormhole closes, and we're good. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, okay. So I told him he's still alive then.
No, see, let's get going. So how did this AI system confuse everyone with Section 31 to begin with?
Oh, okay.
Remember that they created the holograms.
So it could be dead, and AI's just okay.
So that's what I think has happened. The AI is impersonating him at that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like it did.
Okay.
Batal or whatever.
Cool.
Sure, why not?
Sure, okay, sure, I guess.
That's what I took from it, at least. Like,
which is why they needed this episode for him to like pour his heart out about what was really going on, because this is where they're going to kill him or remove him from the story, maybe. Or
another very interesting character. Here you go. He's very interesting and dead.
He was okay. He was sort of interesting. He was just starting to get interesting.
Kind of like Arium.
Kind of like Arium. We can't keep interesting people around for too long.
That's why I don't want them showing any more of these side characters off. I don't want them dying.
Yeah, the more they give them to do, the more they're likely going to die.
So this is the new red shirt.
Game of Thrones.
Get to know you.
New red shirt.
This is their new red shirt trope. Yeah. Well, in the first episode of this season, I thought that this cool science officer. I
remember you liked him.
I liked him, and then he's dead.
Yeah, from
Enterprise. We're going through the meteor.
Oh yeah. Well,
asteroid belt.
He was red. He was another red shirt.
He was a blue shirt, actually.
Oh, did he have a blue shirt?
Yeah.
I thought I could have sworn he had a red shirt. I thought I made a joke about that.
They were subverting our expectations. So, but he basically dies like
maybe that's the whole thing. They're trying to subvert expectations and be like, oh, it doesn't have to be a red shirt that dies.
It could be a blue shirt.
Yeah,
there were blue shirts who died on the original.
We're gonna give you a character though to feel about, but it doesn't have to be a red shirt.
Okay, let's talk about just the final reveal of this episode. So
the big whammy.
Actually, I thought that this whole trapping the Red Angel and pulling her out of the suit and all these effects were actually really well done and looked cool. Was interesting. And then we finally get to kind of see this person's face, and I'm like, is this supposed to be like old Michael Burnham? And then,
we see her from behind first, and she's got the hair to look like she was a more mature Michael that had let her hair grow out, but then it kind of slowly pans over to her face. There almost looks like it could be Michael.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then it pans over to Michael, and we get the reveal. Mom?
But we already established that the neural scan
is 100% Michael
Burnham, not the mother.
Colbert says that in that scene when he's scanning Michael, that an AI, doesn't matter what AI, like there are certain idiosyncrasies that you cannot replicate. So how does her mom have 100% similar bioscan to Michael?
She doesn't. I don't think that. I think what has happened here is that Michael is still the Red Angel, but I think that because they established in this episode that her parents invented this time travel suit.
Yeah.
So maybe she's come from the past before they die to save Michael for some reason.
Oh, wow.
She's dead, right? This character, she's supposed to be dead.
But then how? So, but if that's the case, how does the AI travel through the wormhole to infect the Section 31 ship.
So it has to be. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Because the AI is coming from the future, and your hypothesis is that this is Michael has gone back to the past, gotten her mom to use the Red Angel suit to go back to the future to save her.
I think in just this example, this particular, like this person they pulled, like the fact that her mom came out of the suit is not necessarily meaning that her mom has been the Red Angel, every single time.
Well, okay.
That's fair, but at the same time, we're also running on, once again, this show likes to use Game of Thrones tropes. Mm-hmm. If they didn't die on screen, they may not be dead. And
I guess so.
At no point do we actually, like, even with the flashbacks in the 2 episodes prior with Spock, we don't actually see Michael's parents dying. We see Michael in the closet that she's hiding in from the Klingons, but we don't see...
I mean, Michael didn't even see it.
Exactly. So what's to say that her mom didn't use the suit to escape, or maybe her father,
was eaten.
Yeah, her father was like, no, you have to get out. You have to save yourself. Save Michael. Yeah. So he gets her into the suit, and she's thrust into the... She might have even been thrust into the future more so... Like, because they didn't understand the technology, right? Like, this was a project that was in its infancy and prototype phases. So this might have been like a last-ditch effort kind of thing where they were like, okay, you need to get out. You need to get this suit away from them, because if they get access to this... We could all be, because they do establish very early on in the episode that if the Klingons were to gain access to time travel technology, everyone would be screwed.
Yeah,
because this is a warrior race that can eliminate their opponents before they're.
That's not very honorable.
But if they had time to do this, don't you think they would have saved their daughter first and thrown her in the time suit, trapped? You know, you're eating dinner. Is that what? And then the Klingons came in and.
But we don't know that. That's the thing, right?
I thought there was dinner on the table.
No, because the only scene we see, if I remember...
Oh, you're right. She's talking about, like, Michael was describing this, like, I think last season.
Yeah, they were...
Talking about how they killed everybody and then they sat down and ate the dinner.
And ate the dinner, because they were just sitting down to eat dinner. So they killed their parents. Then someone said, well, didn't they notice there were 3 plates for 3...
so no...
Josh or Jeff said that.
Okay, so here's my counter-argument for that, then, is that... We've already we've established that Michael's mother was a scientist, an engineer, and astrophysicist. Her father was only a what was the word? What was he?
I can't remember.
He studies civilizations and people in general.
Anthropologist,
yeah. So he was an anthropologist. So he probably wouldn't have had much to do with the Daedalus project, whereas her mother. She would have been in the family. She would have been the one that was heavily involved in the project. So it might have been a situation where maybe it was Michael's father was preparing dinner, and the 2 of them were ready, and then her mother was working, was supposed to come home, and that
children's memories can get mixed up
exactly
so easily in a trauma like that.
Yeah.
So who knows? Yeah,
I don't know. I'm trying to retcon. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate for them right now, but
when Leland's explaining this whole thing to her earlier in the episode, he talks about how they discovered that all the technological advancements of humans were because of time travel. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He says that it was Michael's parents' theory that all of the technological advancements. Or rapid technological advancements were the result of time travel. Sure. He doesn't say he says rapid technological advancements. So like,
I thought about the pyramids, or they say the missing link of when we went from like Neanderthals to human, like that. That's what I thought.
I was thinking like World War I to World War II, like in that 20-year span, like the world established. We went from biplanes to fully functioning. Bombers and fighters and jet aircraft in 15 years, which is something that the world had not seen. That kind of rapid advancement has never been seen before, right? So I understand, like that thought process. I understood, but I don't know. It's just there was so much that really hasn't been fully fleshed out. And considering that, like I've said countless times, like they're really kind of going for if we didn't see it, don't trust it.
Yeah.
You know, if it hasn't been.
Okay, well, I know that and there's a Star Trek Voyager episode where they do go back in time with this. It's actually from a ship from the 29th century, Captain Braxton. His ship crashes in the 1960s, and it's discovered by this guy played by...
I never knew
what's his name? It doesn't matter. Henry Starling is the character, though. And he's he basically uses the technology to create the technological boom of the late 20th century.
Okay.
Right? So he invents, like, cell phones and a bunch of other things
based
on this technology. Microchips and stuff like that. So it's not, and they kind of say that the computer boom of the late 20th century is kind of a result of this. So it's kind of been established in Star Trek, but I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see where this goes,
especially since we now that her mom is there, like this is a whole new storyline and concept that they're gonna have to explore, right?
I don't know.
Like we said from the beginning, it was a very convoluted and crisscrossy and just all over the place episode.
We need to I felt like they were just trying to catch up on a bunch of things, and
it was like 5 storylines that they were like, all right, so we're gonna cover this, and this, and this, and everything will be caught up, and we all got left here sitting there going, no.
Can you imagine if you're just like a casual Star Trek viewer and you watch this episode?
I have no idea what's going on.
I'm barely more than a casual Star Trek viewer, and I was like, what is going on? Why are you doing this to me? I just want to love you. Let me love you, damn it.
Yeah, I don't know. What is this? As you look at this whole episode as a whole, we don't really learn much more about the Red Angel. We learn a little bit more, even though the episode's called The Red Angel. It's a lot of people...
We learned about the time crystal.
We learned about the time crystal.
Yeah, that's not going away anytime soon.
I don't know. I felt pretty good about the last 2 episodes. This episode, I was kind of like...
Oh, is this confirmed that... Wait, hold on. Time crystal. Does this confirm that Star Trek takes place in the Marvel Universe?
No. Not the time gem.
Time stone?
Maybe.
Time
stone. Yeah. It's the time stone.
It's time gem in the comics, but whatever. So, gems, crystals, stones.
It was one of those, it was an interesting episode from just a pure volume standpoint.
Yeah.
But in terms of storyline, it gave us as an audience way too much, way too quickly, and not enough time to digest.
Yeah.
I know. I just we've sat here for almost an hour and a half now trying to figure out this episode. I don't know.
I still liked it. The last 2 episodes have been good, and they went a little too fast, but
I thought the last episode was better. I think that the Arium episode was
brilliant.
The Arium episode might have been the best episode of season 2 so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was a little disappointed at how they followed up. They followed it up with this insane. Everything's going on. Everything's happening. Everything's going crazy.
We need to move the plot ahead on a few things. We need to move the Culber Stamets thing ahead. We need to move the Michael and Ash Tyler thing ahead. Yeah. We need to move this Red Angel thing ahead.
It was almost like they bit off more than they could chew with this season, and they're trying to wrap up at least some of it, right? Like they're trying to, the Ash Burnham thing. I think the scenes in this episode that were Ash and Burnham, I think those were trying to wrap up that storyline to an extent. Same with the Spock Burnham stuff. I think that was kind of trying to wrap up that story. Not hard wraps. I think they're just kind of tying them into a nice little knot to push them aside for now until they can revisit them at a later date.
Well,
I think they could have cut the Ash and Burnham out completely, the Stamets, Culver out completely for this one episode. Deal with it next week.
Yeah,
it didn't have to be in there.
No, especially when you're gonna call this episode the Red Angel. This episode should have been completely and utterly dedicated to that, because that is what this whole season
is about,
has built towards.
Yeah.
And you took that and then you added all these other little things
diluted it with all this other
exactly
stuff.
Like it was so unnecessarily over the top for what, and when this is your denouement episode, like this is the climax, this is where everything is hitting a point, and then now we've got what 3-4 more episodes left, I believe.
Is that it?
Or I can't remember if they got a full 20 episode series, or
I need to look it up. Actually, I don't even know
how many more we have to go.
Yeah, because if we only have a couple more episodes, like, and this is your climax episode, you should have dedicated it entirely to that Red Angel reveal moment, instead of diluting it with all of these background side stories that we would like to see, just not.
So maybe this isn't like where is this going? What is the climax going to be? Getting rid of the AI, or will they carry that forward to next season? I don't. Yeah. How many more do we have, Dave?
I'm just trying to figure that out. At least 2 more.
Should be on IMDb. Like IMDb should say how many more they got.
14 in total. So we have 4 more.
Okay.
4 more.
So yeah. So then, hello, Kat.
Hello, Jaden.
They should have given this episode, especially for what it was criminally underdone, because they oversaturated it with too many storylines.
And then the reveal who this is, it's her mom, which I guess is kind of interesting, but we never even have met her in anything.
No.
So
I think
dead. She's supposed to be dead.
I know, but they've done flashbacks. We don't know anything about her, not anything about her personality whatsoever.
No, that I firmly believe was done as a shock and awe moment. Like shock
and awe. We don't even know her. Like it's like I'm not in shock or in awe. Like it's not. It's neither.
No,
it's like what?
No, I know, but because we thought she was like they were doing. I think the thought process was because we thought she was dead, we're gonna make her the Red Angel and just really mess with everyone. Like it was almost, once again, it was kind of lazy writing, to be honest. Like,
it was confusing. Like
they could have the whole episode was kind of lazy.
Yes. Call this Lazy Susan. That's what this episode is.
Lazy Susan episode.
It was unfortunate. I mean, I also didn't like the reveal of the mom instantly threw out my theory about what was going on. So I mean, it might still, like we were talking earlier, like it might still. So my theory is that this was this whole season is kind of because I kind of liked how they've been incorporating old, like they had the throwback to the TNG not TNG, the original series episode with Pike. I thought that right there kind of like this theory formulated in my mind that what if this is a season wrapping up the temporal Cold War that they never really finished in Enterprise, even though it was easily the best part of Enterprise. So I was really hoping that might be it, but as soon as they revealed that Michael's mother was the Red Angel, I was like, oh, that makes it much less like now.
They built a suit and
now that being said, like the AI might, like it could still, like what might have happened. So I was thinking about this while we're talking is, what if Michael's mother, because like we said, it is a prototype technology, it could have sent her way too far into the future, and that's where this AI resides after the temporal, like the temporal Cold War might have erupted into an actual temporal war. And she's witnessing all this and is trying to fix it in the past now.
I can't see them doing this because
I don't see them doing it anymore.
Enterprise is like the least popular series, the least watched series. People are not as familiar with it, and so...
It's just I know it's one of the few series that I really watched like all the way through, and I just the whole, like, I really enjoyed. I think that was one of the drawing features of Enterprise was the Cold War, the temporal Cold War storyline, and they left it.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't pursue it properly. They had no plan. We could sit here and
100%. It was absolutely a plot line that had they had no idea what to do with it.
No idea what to do. Like, I thought some of the scenes with like Daniels were interesting as we got to see these glimpses into the future, but
that's why I thought like maybe this was a way of them wrapping. wrapping it up, like
Yeah.
just because all you would need is like one season to wrap it up, get it done, give the true Trek fans that actually watched Enterprise, give them that closure.
Yeah. Even Star Trek's not as popular even among the Trek fans. So.
What,
Yeah.
Enterprise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Millard and I often have this debate.
I think we all watched it. No?
Not all of it.
I believe we were in a hotel room having this very debate.
Yeah.
And
Kevin hates it. Jody kind of likes it. I've warmed up to it a bit, but at the time I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So they just steal all the old plot lines from like Deep Space Nine and Voyager, and they just rehashed them.
To an extent, it was just I kind of one of the things that really drew me in for it was this whole like the Starfleet isn't a thing, and like the fledgling they don't call it Starfleet, they call it what do they call the human
Starfleet? Like the Makos?
No, they don't call it Starfleet, do they? Do they?
Yeah, it's still Starfleet,
Originally?
but it's not the Federation.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah. So like we're watching Starfleet in its infancy when it's
just a human organization,
and not nearly as influential or powerful as it is in in every other series we've ever seen. Like Starfleet is the defining power of the Alpha Quadrant, right?
Yeah. At this point, at that point in the timeline, Starfleet is
a fledgling organization that really
Earth's,
has no power.
No, because Earth's not a power yet.
In the Alpha Quadrant, and that's why I liked it. It gave it an interesting feel. Like there's no big fleet that's going to come back them up if there's a major problem. Where there's no Vulcan officer on another ship, or there's no joint communication. Like we're seeing this build to what we know it to be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, I get that. We can sit here and bring out Enterprise for a while, but like
that's a whole nother podcast.
It is a whole. It's maybe a series of podcasts. I would say generally what I didn't like about Enterprise was it's a prequel. I'd rather have a sequel. I also have that issue with Discovery.
I would much rather see like the Enterprise J.
I'd rather see them progress the story and go beyond.
Let's
Voyager.
see the 30th century. Let's see what's going on at that point.
But beyond that, I just think Scott Bakula and this Archer captain is not a likable captain for me. He's not. Yeah, he's not good.
Archer, I was hit and miss with. I love Chip because
Chip was a good character.
Good, yeah.
Well,
but the captain has to carry the show.
But what I liked about Chip was the human character that you would expect.
Yep.
At that time period. Like, he was kind of iffy about Vulcans. He was kind of iffy about any alien species they came across, but he would eventually warm up to them, or like he'd work with them and become more accepting of them, and that's the human experience.
Yeah,
like,
that part was fine. I just thought Scott Bakula sucked on the show, and
I agree. I honestly, he was one of the weaker aspects for it.
Anson Mount in that role
would have been different a show.
Very different. Captain Pike.
Yeah, maybe the show would have lasted, but who knows?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Anyway, the next episode is called Perpetual Infinity.
Ooh,
so get ready for that.
So more time travel, time crystals, people.
More time crystals.
Use the time crystals.
We're gonna find. I guess we're gonna get probably some scenes with the mom.
Yes.
Figure out if she's from the future or the past, or what the heck's going on.
Could go this way, could go that way. Who knows?
I just hope it goes in a good, interesting direction. That's all.
That would be ideal.
Any other thoughts before we say good night?
Just thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure, and I had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Max. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you having you here, and we will we'll hope to have you back.
Anytime you want me, I would gladly join you.
It'd be interesting to see Max interact with like Tyrone or somebody.
I don't know who Tyrone is, but I'm game if he's game. Let's go.
Okay, well, that's it. That's been Season 2, Episode 10 of Star Trek Discovery, The Red Angel. We'll see you next time when we cover Perpetual Infinity.
Live long and prosper, people.
Very good. Bye.
Salutations.